I think one of the biggest mistakes young cinematographers make is that they think that they need to buy another light. But the reality is, on this Reezer commercial I shot, it wasn't about bigger lights, it was about better timing. And if you want your footage to look more cinematic, I think understanding where the sun's gonna be is more important than buying another light. Here, let's get into it. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go back to St. Louis, my hometown. As some of you may know, just moved to Kansas City, where I'm at right now. And I got to shoot a commercial with the legendary Ozzie Smith for the upcoming BMW Championship at the Bellerive Country Club. One thing that makes this shoot super special to me is I grew up about a mile from the Bellerive Country Club. Our woods connected to about the 14th green. And one of the days when I was young, I was brave enough to explore all the way through and ended up at a golf course. I even went to school right across the street from the entrance to Bellerive Country Club. So fast forward years later, when you get the phone call that, hey, PGA is coming back to St. Louis and the BMW Championship's hosting it again at Bellerive. And we've got this awesome commercial called Go Crazy featuring Ozzie Smith. You know I had to jump on board. This is how you know the world is small. I've talked to my dad about this, about the shoot. Of course, he grew up in St. Louis. He absolutely loves Ozzie Smith. And he was even at the game when Jack Buck gave those famous lines, "Go crazy, folks, go crazy." That blew my mind. Like, Dad, I just met this guy. You were there when he was at his prime. This is just insane. And when I was a teen, I was brave enough to try out to be a caddy there. That was a 2-day training course. And let's just say, I only made it about 2 rounds of golf before I realized maybe busboy is what I'm good at. Let's just say it wasn't for me. What was awesome was this shoot had celebrity talents, a beautiful location / beautiful golf course. We had a pretty decent lighting package, not to mention a gorgeous camera and lens combo. We shot this project on the Red V Raptor with the Cooke full frame SF, which I think stands for special flare, 1.8x anamorphics. That was a lot to get out, but if you Google that, you'll realize that we were dealing with some pristine lenses. And if you stick around a little longer, I'll give you a pro tip on why it's important to often have a second camera body on set, just to help you move a little bit faster. First, some coffee. I've got the Four Hands Brewery Growler. Now, this is not full with beer. This is full with cold brew from Messenger coffee that I filled up. This morning, I didn't have the time to make some coffee, so we'll just give it a quick pour and a taste. That's awesome. But I think one of the biggest misconceptions in commercial cinematography, for those young cinematographers out there, is that they think that us DPs own bigger lights. First of all, most of us don't own any lights. We rent all of our gear per project. And here, let's get into it. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, we had lights on this shoot. We had so many lights, in fact, that we planned to use specific lights for every single room and didn't have to reuse them in other scenes. When you're working around celebrity talent, you typically have a shorter window of time that you're given with that talent. Thus, sometimes it gets more expensive to shoot with celebrities because, hey, we need to light this room with these lights, but you're saying I can't grab those lights and move to the next room and take that time it takes to switch from room to room. And no, we don't have that time. But none of the tools we had would have mattered if we didn't plan the right time of day. When you're shooting a golf commercial, you're gonna need to learn where the sun's gonna be. Not to mention the foliage. We location scouted this project where there was still no leaves on the trees. And we were just planning based on previous year's photos saying, hey, this is when it starts to get green. How early can we shoot? And it's one of those things when you're looking in location scouting and you're like, hey, the grass is yellow, the trees are barren, and yet we're going to plan ahead and say, this will be green and this will be green by the time we show up. It's a little bit of faith, and sure enough, it was beautiful. Everything had to work around time of day. I remember early on the producer said, hey, this would, I want to get that morning fog off the grass when he swings the club. And I said, that's a great idea, but morning fog in the summertime goes pretty quick. Let's shoot in the evening where the sun stays up for forever, it feels like. And you want to add some fog, we can just add a hazer. So that's kind of what we ended up trying to go for. As you can see in this clip, the haze wasn't quite working. We did give it a shot, and we just couldn't get the timing down. I mean, when you're chasing that sun and it's creeping down and down and down almost below the tree line, if we stuck around for another 15 minutes, we would have missed the upcoming shots that we needed to get in the car. More on that later. One of the differences between a professional cinematographer and a young cinematographer is the ability to see ahead and plan. For this shoot, we had scenes in a locker room with a top-down angle. We had scenes in this Hall of Fame hallway where the gimbal follows from behind, and another scene out onto this pavilion. It's a covered pavilion. Yeah, with some skylights that gave us a nice little surprise when Ozzie walked through and this nice splash of sun, although diffused, comes through and hits him on the shoulder. Now, was that planned? I'm gonna go with yes, but it was kind of a happy accident. I knew I didn't want that light over the bartender. I wanted that light falling further away. And whether it hit Ozzie or not, I didn't care. But if it was hitting straight down at the bartender, I just knew that that wouldn't look good. But all this was part of the plan. I was talking to the producers early on. Yeah, if we shoot these interior shots when the sun is gross around, 11 to 2, this will be no problem. But the fact of the matter is we shot each of these scenes within like 15 minutes. It's crazy to have one or two passes, a couple of options of walking this direction or this direction, and realize that's the scene, let's move on. But yeah, we pre-lit this for like 2 hours. That's all we need? Yeah, that's all we needed. We just needed him walking this way and the next scene walking again. But then one of the biggest challenges the producer put upon me was that the lights in the locker room had to stay the lights in the locker room. The lights in the hallway had to be the lights in the hallway. And the lights on the patio had to kind of be the lights in the patio, but I told them, yeah, there's gonna be a few instruments that we're gonna need to bring once we go out to the course. If you're on a location scout and you come upon a really cool location, shoot to its strengths. That's what makes it unique. This location offered us a top-down. How often do you get that? I'm like, okay, let's use that. To the Hall of Fame hallway. During the location scout, we walked down this Hall of Fame hallway and we were like, whoa, this has got a vibe to it, man. We gotta shoot here. So I knew it wasn't gonna take much. Sure, do we have a 1200D in the far corner raking down and pushing in a little bit more blue light just to kind of give the viewers a teaser that, hey, he's heading towards the outside. Just controlling the lights overhead. All the lights on the side were practical. We did have a few tubes tucked away just to give a little more fill, but one of the biggest things we did was taping up lights and controlling it. It was about removing how much light spilled onto his back. And that's half the battle most of the time. It's about control. When you step outside, we don't quite have the budget to overpower the sun. It's about knowing where the sun would be and how best to use it at those times. And then loading up an army of golf carts and heading out to the 12th tee box, a location that we found during our scout, a location that I found online based on the design and previous photos. I said, that looks pretty good. Can we make sure we see that during the scout? And then one of the managers of the golf course was like, yes, we shoot commercials there all the time. It gives a really nice lookout of the land. It's got different layers. I said, yeah, I saw that, but I also saw the S-curves in the cart path and some of the extra landscaping on the side really helped break things up. More important than all that, the sun would have been backlighting him. One of the questions you gotta ask if you're shooting a golfer is, does he shoot right-handed or left-handed? And we knew that Ozzie Smith shot right-handed, so I knew that the sun would be behind him, backlighting him, and what I was gonna face towards him. And that background would be tree-lined foliage, plus these S-curves, plus some beautifully done landscaping. It all came down to asking those questions, planning ahead, knowing how and where the sun's gonna be. And then, of course, getting a day that works. But you might be saying right now, like, hey, our shoot's only one day. Most of these commercials have the day they're gonna shoot and then a backup day, just in case there's a rain delay or the weather's not quite great. Mother Nature was in our favor that day. We had some beautiful clouds and great sun. It was exactly what we needed to make this relatively tight budget commercial as beautiful as possible. But now we gotta do a little company move back up to the front of the clubhouse where I got a little pro tip for you about why it's important to have a second camera body. So here's a little pro tip when you're shooting with celebrity talent. Get yourself a second camera body. We had a car rig shot coming up, and yes, we could have just used our Red V Raptor, and luckily with the Ignite Digi Keystone platform, slid it off the Ronin and onto the cheese plate, ready to go on the car rig. However, that would have taken just enough time where we're racing against the clock, and every minute with celebrity talent is is watched closely. So we got ourselves a red Komodo X, got that pre-rigged on a hostess tray on the side of the car. So the moment that we got off the golf course and got up to the front of the clubhouse, we were able to put Ozzie Smith straight into the car. We didn't even have to use any of the lenses that we were using on any of the interior shots or the exterior shots. I designated the Komodo with a 32mm lens. Granted, that Komodo is a super 35mm sensor, so the 32 was the right call. It was wide enough to see enough context of the car out the window, and it gave us a really nice flare. Part of that planning was knowing that if we got a second body, this will save us time, and time is money when you're dealing with celebrity talent. And two, let's designate one lens to this with a secondary focus motor. So all the AC had to do was just show up and do his little magic. It wasn't pulling motors, it wasn't pulling anything from the A camera. Does that cost more in regards to rentals? Yes, but if you're working deals with rental houses and or maybe you already own the equipment, this is a time saver pro tip that I would encourage any of you guys out there to, talk to your producers and say, hey, here's how we can save us time and money. A $400 camera rental for that day is a whole lot cheaper than overtime for 15 crew members. So I don't have to be the one making this argument. This is what the producers say. But as a cinematographer, as a DP, I do think about these things. How do we make sure we're efficient? And it's not even about the money to me. It's more about the time. I don't want to waste anyone's time. So, pro tip, get a second camera body. This red Komodo is going to match the V-Raptor no problem, or it'll match an Alexa no problem. It's going to go into a colorist anyway. But this little camera body will save us some time. It's also super lightweight that you could, in reality, we're doing exactly what it's intended for. It was a crash camera. It wasn't supposed to be everyone's little, A camera. The red Komodo became an A camera because us younger cinematographers could afford it, and it was powerful enough, and then we just kitted it out to an A camera. But I think it was intended to be a crash cam or an insert cam, or just kind of for this same purpose. It was, hey, we need this little extra camera, put it on there, it's nice and lightweight. All right, back to it. So this commercial wasn't lit by bigger lights, it was lit by better timing. So stop asking yourself, well, what piece of gear I should get, or what's the new lighting piece of equipment I should add to my kit? And start asking yourself, where's the sun going to be? If you want to see more of my freelance cinematography work, you can go over to stevensegreathouse.com. Thanks for watching. Peace. If you're enjoying these kind of lessons from a working cinematographer, consider subscribing. Thanks. Peace.